In today's episode, I'm gonna TIG weld a BMX frame, kind of. Welcome to another episode from Pacific Arc TIG Welding. My name's Dusty. I'm a welding artist from Vancouver Island, Canada. I do welding art projects in both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional surfaces. And on my YouTube channel, I love showing off and teaching the art of TIG welding. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to bounce back. There's a ton of episodes for you to watch. About a month or so ago, I did an exercise on my channel where I welded some coped tubing just as a demonstration, and it kind of looked like a joint from a BMX frame. Anybody who watches my channel knows that I am a huge BMX fan. I've ridden BMX ever since I was a kid. I still ride competitive BMX to this day. I love the sport. It's my favorite sport in the world. So I wanted to make a full BMX frame. Only there's one problem. I can't do that right now. The BMX tubing frames are really expensive. I'm not ready to throw down for a full kit. I need a jig. I don't have a jig. I don't even have room for a jig in here right now. I got art projects on the go. I got YouTube demos on the go. So I'm gonna do the next best thing. We're gonna make a mini BMX frame. It's small enough, I might make it as a strider bike for one of my kids. We'll see. So most BMX frames are typically made out of 4130 chromoly steel. I do not have any chromoly steel here. What I do have, however, is some stainless tubing. So I made up a little jig so I could figure out all my angles. I coped all my tubing on a coping machine, cleaned them up, I prepped them all. Next step is to set up the machine, set up the torch, and start tacking it together. I have a feeling that the fit up is gonna suck on this one. So stick with me, this one's gonna be fun. Okay, so for machine today, we're gonna use the Weld 201 Pulse D. This machine is super dope and super simple. Basically simple settings today, we're just gonna use DC negative, direct current negative. We're gonna be setting our machine at about 90 amps. Again, give or take, but that's what we'll set it on the panel today. We're gonna be using the foot pedal to dictate how much of that 90 amps we use. And from there, we're gonna do about 5 seconds of post flow. Might turn that up a little bit. Let's do about 5.5 seconds. Quick blast of pre-flow, no upslope because we're using the foot pedal. 90 amps, super simple. All right, so for a torch setup today, I'm gonna be using my CK Worldwide 9 style torch. I'm using a Shea Spec back cap on the inside here. We're using a 332 gas screen with a wedge collet on the inside. My tungstens are a laser tungsten from CK Worldwide. Those are super dope, I like them. And for my cups, I'm gonna be using an Edge number 10 cup. This is the stubby series, a real stubby little cup. I love these ones. They just slide over top like so. As you can see, the stubby ones are a little more compact. They give a great gas flow. The screen's right nice and close. I love these cups. Okay, I got it tacked together. I gotta say, the fit up on this one sucked. Unfortunately, I only had one mandrel size to work with on the coping machine, and it was not the proper diameter of mandrel, so we got pretty close. So what I ended up having to do was do a couple fill passes just to fill in some gap, bridge the gap in between a couple pieces of tubing, but hey, it worked out. We're gonna be able to get a clean fit up and throw some clean weld on it. So we're gonna bust out the filler rod, get set up, and we're gonna go for it. Okay, so here we go. So you can imagine, this is 0.65 tube wall thickness, which is relatively on the thin side, so I got to make sure I keep everything a little cooler, and I do that by using proper amounts of filler rod. Not enough filler rod will allow it to overheat really easy. And as you can see here, I have to extend my tungsten stick out quite a bit sometimes to long arc and get into some spots. There's not a lot of room inside of the BMX frame, so pulling your tungsten out helps out a little bit with that. Not a lot of ideal angles, and you can see here I'm having to do an uphand, and an uphand is notoriously risky because it's pretty easy to burn through and over penetrate something. But again, we're paying close attention to how much filler rod I'm using here, post flow, keeping everything cool, and we should be all right. So as you can see on this one here, this one's gonna heat up a lot after I finish welding it. Now, because it heats up so much, I'm worried I don't have enough post flow to cover it. So I give it an extra shot after the fact. Right there. And it resets the timer of post flow on my machine. So anytime I'm worried I don't have enough post flow on the timer, I just give it an extra little shot and it resets the timer. So these welds here are teeny tiny. They go over the back edge of the dropout. So I have to be very careful not to use too much fill and spill it over the edge. I'm going really slow, using just enough filler to keep it under control. Obviously these clips are sped up for time's sake, but this is the one where I get to go over the top tube and the down tube, which connect to the head tube. This is a fun intersection. This is probably my favorite one to weld. You can see here how much it heats up on the inside, just managing to keep it cool enough not to burn through. All right, it's cool enough. Let's pick it up, take a look. So upon first glance, everything turned out all right. A few spots I'm not too happy with. Obviously, I had some gap to contend with here and there, but overall, we filled everything up okay. You can see as we came around the bottom bracket there, everything stayed relatively consistent. It's okay, there's a couple spots I don't really like right there, but overall, not too bad. At the side, as you flip it over, you can see it doesn't look too bad at all. If we take a look at the back end here, we see a little bit more oxide on this one. It oxidized too much. I don't really like that, although we were working with a super thin pipe. So yeah, you're gonna have to contend with a little bit more oxide than usual. But overall consistency of the welding is pretty decent. Consistency of the stepping looked pretty good. You can see as we welded our little dropouts at the back there. Tiny, tiny welds. Those are super, super small. Other side, again, not too bad. We'll take it. I threw a little wrap in the middle there just to kind of tie everything together. Even though if I was doing it for real, I want to get more weld on the inside, but again, this is super tiny and it's just for fun, so this is all good. As we flip it up to look at the consistency of the steering tube joint, turned out pretty decent. Good colors. Again, I like my colors, but overall, not too bad. Again, the consistency of the stepping looks pretty good. This flip it over, this side looks pretty decent as well. We got some gold on there, we got some color. Again, consistency of everything looks pretty nice, especially as it wrapped over the top there. It looked pretty good too. Let's take a look inside. Not too bad. We got a couple spots there that are a little hot, but again, this tubing is super, super thin. Bound to happen. Again, I would probably do things a little differently. But again, for a little project on the channel today, this one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one. If you enjoyed this one, I offer a challenge at the end of every episode of my channel, and that is to go out and do a random act of kindness for a stranger. I'm trying to spread positivity in the welding scene, so that's my challenge to everybody that enjoys my episodes. Just go out and do something nice for a stranger. I don't care what it is. So I hope everybody enjoyed this one. This one was fun, right? I'm all about having fun on this channel. I don't take things too seriously. Again, if I think of a funny idea like something like this, I'm just gonna do it. It's gonna be fun. I'm all about just going with no script on this channel, just freestyling it, have fun, and we end up with cool little projects like this. I hope everyone's safe, cool, happy out there. Again, for Pacific Arc TIG Welding, my name's Dusty. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.